The Kālāma Sutta, found in the Anguttara Nikaya, is one of the most celebrated discourses in the Buddhist canon. It is often referred to as the Charter of Free Inquiry because it underscores the importance of critical thinking, personal investigation, and reason in discerning the truth. Delivered to the Kālāmas, the inhabitants of Kesaputta, a village in ancient India, this teaching addresses the universal human struggle to distinguish truth from falsehood amidst conflicting ideologies and doctrines. The Kālāmas were confused and troubled. They had encountered numerous spiritual teachers, each promoting their own philosophies and claiming ultimate authority. Unsure whom to trust, they turned to the Buddha for guidance. Instead of prescribing doctrines or demanding faith, the Buddha responded with remarkable openness, instructing them to question everything, even his own teachings. He advised them not to accept teachings based on tradition, lineage, hearsay, scriptural authority, logical reasoning, philosophical speculation, analogy, personal bias, or the charisma of the teacher. This guidance, rooted in intellectual humility and pragmatism, shifted the focus from external authority to personal experience and discernment. The Buddha provided the Kālāmas with a clear and practical method for evaluating the validity of any teaching, offering guidance that remains profoundly relevant even today. Instead of asking them to accept teachings on faith or authority, he invited them to consider the real-world consequences of those teachings. The core question he posed was simple yet powerful. Do these teachings lead to harm and suffering, or do they lead to well-being and happiness? This approach shifted the focus from abstract beliefs or rituals to their tangible impact on individuals and society. The Buddha's method begins by recognizing that teachings or practices must be assessed in terms of their ethical and practical outcomes. If a particular teaching or belief causes harm to oneself, others, or the broader community, it should be abandoned without hesitation. This harm could manifest in various ways, such as mental distress, interpersonal conflict, or societal discord. By rejecting such harmful teachings, one avoids perpetuating cycles of suffering and destruction. Conversely, teachings that promote peace, happiness, and welfare are to be embraced and practiced. These teachings are characterized by their ability to nurture kindness, compassion, and harmony, both within the individual and in their interactions with others. Such practices contribute to a flourishing life, free from regret and conflict, and cultivate an environment in which well-being can thrive. The Buddha's emphasis on fostering positive qualities ensures that his guidance is not merely about avoiding harm, but actively creating conditions for personal and collective growth. This pragmatic framework stands out for its reliance on observation, experience, and ethical reasoning, rather than blind adherence to dogma. It encourages individuals to take responsibility for their choices by considering the outcomes of their actions. By doing so, the Buddha prioritizes ethical behavior and practical results over rigid adherence to beliefs or rituals. He shifts the emphasis from external validation or ritualistic practices to internal discernment and accountability. What makes this method particularly empowering is that it places the individual at the center of the decision-making process. Rather than relying on an external authority to dictate right and wrong, individuals are encouraged to critically assess their experiences and the impact of their actions. This approach fosters intellectual independence and moral responsibility, enabling people to cultivate wisdom through personal reflection and mindfulness. In essence, the Buddha's advice in the Kālāma Sutta offers a timeless and universal guide to ethical discernment. By urging individuals to evaluate teachings and practices based on whether they lead to harm or well-being, he provides a practical tool for navigating life's complexities. This method not only encourages ethical living, but also aligns with modern values of critical thinking, evidence-based reasoning, and compassion, It transcends cultural and religious boundaries, offering a universal standard for determining the worth of ideas and practices in the pursuit of a harmonious and meaningful life. Central to the discourse is the Buddha's identification of the three unwholesome roots of behavior: greed, lobha, hatred, dosa, and delusion, moha. These three mental defilements are at the heart of human suffering and the primary drivers of unskillful actions. The Buddha explained that when individuals act out of greed, they are motivated by an insatiable craving for material possessions, sensual pleasures, or power. This desire, often obsessive and self-centered, leads to unethical behavior such as exploitation, deceit, and hoarding. Greed blinds people to the needs of others and fosters a sense of dissatisfaction, as desires are rarely, if ever, fully satisfied. Hatred, on the other hand, manifests as aversion, anger, or hostility. It arises when individuals encounter situations or people they perceive as threats, obstacles, or sources of discomfort. Hatred leads to conflict, violence, and a breakdown in relationships, as it fuels divisiveness and an inability to empathize with others. The destructive nature of hatred not only harms its target, but also deeply affects the person who harbors it, creating inner turmoil and emotional instability. Delusion is the root cause of ignorance and misunderstanding about the nature of reality. It encompasses misconceptions, prejudices, and false beliefs that cloud judgment and lead to unwise decisions. Delusion prevents individuals from seeing the interconnectedness of life and understanding the impermanent and unsatisfactory nature of clinging to material things or ego-driven pursuits. It perpetuates confusion and a lack of insight, which in turn reinforces greed and hatred. These three unwholesome roots are not merely personal afflictions, but also have profound social implications. When greed, hatred, and delusion dominate collective behavior, they result in systemic issues such as economic inequality, social injustice, and widespread conflict. The Buddha emphasized that these mental defilements are the fundamental causes of suffering at both the individual and societal levels, perpetuating cycles of pain, dissatisfaction, and instability. The antidote to these unwholesome roots lies in cultivating their opposites: non-greed, alobha, non-hatred, adosa, and non-delusion, amoha. Non-greed involves developing contentment, generosity, and an attitude of selflessness. By letting go of excessive craving and material attachments, individuals can experience a sense of abundance and freedom, fostering harmonious relationships and equitable resource distribution. Similarly, non-hatred arises from cultivating loving-kindness, metta, compassion, and forgiveness. These qualities dissolve barriers of hostility, promote mutual understanding, and build bridges of trust and unity. Non-delusion, the opposite of ignorance, involves the cultivation of wisdom, paññā, through mindfulness, critical inquiry, and introspection. By gaining insight into the nature of reality, understanding the impermanent, interdependent, and non-self aspects of existence, individuals can make choices that align with truth and lead to lasting well-being. Non-delusion clears the fog of misunderstanding and allows individuals to act with clarity, purpose, and compassion. The Buddha's ethical guidance, rooted in overcoming these three unwholesome roots, transcends cultural and religious boundaries. It provides a universally applicable framework for moral conduct and personal growth, grounded in the understanding that actions driven by greed, hatred, and delusion lead to harm, while those motivated by generosity, compassion, and wisdom lead to well-being. By addressing the root causes of suffering rather than merely its symptoms, this teaching offers a holistic path toward inner peace harmonious relationships, and a more equitable and compassionate society. This framework emphasizes that transformation begins with the individual but extends outward to affect the collective. As individuals work to uproot greed, hatred, and delusion within themselves, their actions naturally contribute to a more just, peaceful, and harmonious world. This universal applicability ensures that the Buddha's message remains timeless, resonating with people from all walks of life and offering a practical guide for creating a life and a society free from suffering. To further reassure the Kālāmas, the Buddha introduced a profound and pragmatic teaching known as the Four Assurances, or Four Solaces. This aspect of the discourse emphasizes the universal value of living a virtuous and mindful life, irrespective of one's beliefs about metaphysical questions such as the existence of an afterlife or the workings of karma. The Four Assurances serve as a source of comfort and guidance, offering practical reasons for ethical conduct that apply to both believers and skeptics alike. The first assurance addresses the possibility of an afterlife and the law of moral causation, commonly referred to as karma. The Buddha explained that if there is indeed an afterlife where actions bear fruit in accordance with moral laws, then a virtuous person who has lived ethically will naturally experience favorable outcomes in the next existence. Their good deeds and wholesome conduct will lead to rewards such as happiness, peace, and a fortunate rebirth. This perspective affirms the long-term benefits of ethical living for those who accept the possibility of continuity beyond this life. The second assurance shifts focus to a materialist or non-believing perspective, considering the scenario in which there is no afterlife and no karmic repercussions beyond this life. Even in this case, the Buddha pointed out, the benefits of a virtuous life are still undeniable. A person who lives ethically, cultivating kindness, honesty, and mindfulness, will experience peace of mind and happiness in the present moment. Such a person fosters harmonious relationships, avoids inner turmoil, and finds satisfaction in leading a life free from harm and conflict. Thus, ethical conduct remains worthwhile even without belief in metaphysical doctrines. The third assurance highlights the emotional and psychological freedom that arises from living a virtuous and ethical life. A person who acts with integrity and mindfulness is free from regret and fear, knowing that they have caused no harm to others or themselves. This freedom from guilt or remorse brings a profound sense of inner peace and stability. By aligning their actions with principles of compassion, honesty, and wisdom, such a person enjoys a life of moral clarity, unburdened by the weight of unethical behavior. The fourth assurance addresses the existential uncertainty that all humans face. Life is inherently unpredictable, and the ultimate nature of existence remains a mystery to many. The Buddha explained that a virtuous person, having lived ethically and cultivated wholesome qualities, faces this uncertainty with calm and confidence. Whether or not there are ultimate truths about the afterlife or cosmic justice, such a person remains unshaken, secure in the knowledge that their life has been meaningful and aligned with principles of goodness. Their virtuous actions and clear conscience provide a foundation of inner strength that allows them to navigate the unknown with equanimity. Together, these four assurances underscore the practical and universal value of ethical living. They demonstrate that a virtuous and mindful life offers tangible benefits in both metaphysical and secular contexts. Whether one believes in an afterlife or not, the pursuit of ethical behavior leads to personal well-being, harmonious relationships, and resilience in the face of uncertainty. By framing ethical conduct as beneficial, regardless of speculative beliefs, the Buddha provided a teaching that transcends religious boundaries, appealing to both spiritual seekers and rational thinkers. This approach emphasizes the transformative power of mindfulness, compassion, and integrity, offering a timeless guide for leading a life of purpose and peace. The Kālāma Sutta is often regarded as one of the most rational and humanistic teachings in Buddhism. Its emphasis on inquiry, personal experience, and pragmatic outcomes makes it a timeless guide, relevant to people of all cultures and beliefs. It encourages individuals to think critically, question authority, and seek truth through personal observation and reflection. This teaching is not a rejection of tradition or guidance, but an invitation to balance external teachings with internal wisdom and ethical reasoning. In today's world, where conflicting ideologies, misinformation, and rigid dogmas often dominate discourse, the message of the Kālāma Sutta is particularly pertinent. It serves as a reminder that true understanding arises not from blind acceptance, but from mindful investigation and ethical practice. By encouraging individuals to focus on the consequences of their actions and the cultivation of wholesome qualities, the Buddha provided a framework for living a life of integrity, compassion, and wisdom. The universality of the Kālāma Sutta lies in its applicability to anyone, regardless of their religious or cultural background. It invites people to rise above blind faith and superficial judgment, fostering a deep, experiential understanding of what leads to happiness and liberation. Its relevance transcends its Buddhist origins, offering a pathway to truth and ethical living for all who seek clarity, peace, and a compassionate way of life. Thank you for watching.